This one I really like. This was suggested to us by a couple people, and unfortunately it's taken us a while to get to it because we did get this suggested a while ago. Who deserves an Oscar who has yet to win one? So what I did in trying to format this video is I looked up multiple lists of actors who haven't won Oscars but who have been nominated multiple times, or at least who have a variety of critically acclaimed movies. So we're not going to talk about ridiculous people because we could be here for 2 hours talking about, like, oh, Tom Cruise. Actually, Tom Cruise has a fucking Oscar. That's a bad example. I don't know. I struggled to come up with an actor there. So the top 6 actors who have yet to win an Oscar. So number 6, Samuel L. Jackson.
Haven't you ever seen my movies?
I'm always yelling.
Dude, I will never forget that line from Ted where he's like, oh, your name's Samuel L. Jackson, just like the actor? Who's that? Haven't you seen any movie ever? He's the black guy.
Honestly, though, Samuel L. Jackson, when I think about him, he's got a weird reputation because he does shitty movies like Snakes on a Plane, where he's literally just playing
on this motherfucker.
He's just playing a ridiculous version of himself. On the other side, Samuel L. Jackson does actually have some legitimate dramatic roles. He was in a movie called 187, down like an inner city school where he'd been stabbed in the past. He had this traumatic history. That was interesting to see. He also had Pulp Fiction, one of his very early films, and he was phenomenal in that. He was one of the most memorable people in that entire movie. And he was also in Hateful Eight, again with Tarantino directing. He was awesome in Hateful Eight. He was one of the best performances I've ever seen from him. He was just so immersive. You could feel his motives. And I really was in his corner for Hateful Eight. I could see him not getting it for Pulp Fiction just because there's so many big people in that movie. But he really was essentially the lead in Hateful Eight. He really was. He was carrying that movie. He was excellent. And I really think there he should have gotten his Oscar.
I can't disagree with you. The man is burdened, unfortunately, with the fact that I don't know if he's doing it for the money or whatever. I have no qualms with whatever his
he doesn't have consistency, really.
Well, that's the thing is I don't know how he chooses his movies. Maybe he's just going for the paycheck, whatever. You do you, boo boo. But friggin'. That's it. Is he goes from one great movie to 3 shitty. But I don't even want to remember this movie existed.
Well,
movies.
I think really what's keeping him low on this list and why he's not higher in the top 6 is just the fact that he only has a handful of dramatic, excellent performances. But he is capable of them, and he should be recognized.
I agree.
Number 5, Matt Damon. So just to be clear, Matt Damon won for writing, but he has not won for acting in his career. He was nominated for acting in Good Will Hunting, and he was also nominated for Invictus. But Matt Damon is one of the most marketable actors who has so many high-end films.
You know, I'm really hoping that when he breaks through that wall, if he does, and gets that Oscar, that he just walks up to the podium and goes, "You like apples? Well, I got the fucking Oscar. How do you like them apples?" And then just walks off.
I feel like Matt Damon is on a path to become the new Leonardo DiCaprio, the guy who consistently turns in a lot of good performances and just never wins his Oscar. I just feel like he's the most likely guy to end up in that position because with those 2 nominations aside, he has all kinds of very good movies. Syriana was really interesting, really dynamic. The Bourne movies are more action movies, but he really transforms into that character. You see Jason Bourne, despite Matt Damon being ridiculously famous, I see Jason Bourne when he's playing him. I don't see Matt Damon, and that's a big factor.
Even with the Martian movie.
Oh yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
The level in which he plays someone who's trying to keep himself in grips with his situation, as well as continue to move forward and do what he needs to do to survive. And like, he does exactly what you would picture someone in that situation who's handling it well would. Because I mean,
yeah.
Even just the act of the video blogs and talking to himself out loud, like that's something you have to do to maintain your sanity in a situation like that isolated.
And to add to that, he completely carries that movie.
Oh, 100%.
He is the heavy lead. He is 90% of the screen time.
Despite the fact that they actually have some fairly decent supporting actors in there,
yeah.
Which was such a waste of budget because they didn't get to do shit.
Yeah, so I mean that could be an Oscar right there. Carrying a movie, you're alone, you're not even interacting with people, and you're still acting and portraying, and it's incredible.
And not only was that movie a good drama, but it also had enough levity to it to keep you amused.
Absolutely.
Even when, so that way you're not sitting there for 2 hours going, oh my god, yeah, we know you're playing with your poop to grow plants.
And again, you feel him transforming into that character. Number 4, Jake Gyllenhaal. So Jake Gyllenhaal was nominated for Brokeback Mountain, and despite him getting very universal critical acclaim, that's his only nomination. But he has movies like Nightcrawler, Prisoners, and Nocturnal Animals where he's very universally praised for that. But for some reason, he's not getting much recognition at all within the Academy.
I think Nightcrawler alone, I would say obviously Brokeback Mountain is what it is, so we're not even going to bother with that. Nightcrawler.
Really elegant avoiding of that movie.
Sweep that way.
He did good. We're agreed. Move on. Broke his back on a mountain.
I'm pretty sure Heath Ledger broke his back with his mountain. But Nightcrawler, that movie, he is such a disgusting, repulsive, awful human being that Jake Gyllenhaal, an actor that most people appreciate and like, you want to fucking stab him in the face.
Well, the thing is when you look at that guy, you don't even see Jake Gyllenhaal.
No, you see a need for a shower.
But he's way skinnier. He's got that stare. That stare.
Hair that looks like it's dead inside.
Incredible performance. That should have been a nomination 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's got Prisoners. Again, he's playing a character with a weird, nervous tick to him. Very interesting individual. Nocturnal Animals, he's a very good character. I think he gets a little overshadowed by Michael Shannon in that movie. And another one, End of Watch, playing a cop. That one's all about chemistry. His chemistry with Michael Pena is incredible in that movie. Nightcrawler, that's the one where you really, like, that's got to be an Oscar.
The man has been in everything from indie films to dramas, to comedies, he's done everything. But Nightcrawler was the pinnacle of saying, hey everybody, I can do whatever the fuck I want as an actor.
He really can. His range is ridiculous.
It is. He's underappreciated because we're in a time period where we just came out of the late 90s to 2000s where Tom Hanks, Nick Cage, Sean Connery, Denzel Washington, these guys ruled the landscape and commanded everybody's attention when they're in movies.
Yeah, yeah.
Those guys are getting older, they're backing off the scene, and this should be a slam dunk for one of the guys to carry the torch.
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
though for whatever reason Hollywood isn't placing those torches in anybody's hands at the moment, but he should be a front runner.
All right, so number 3, Brad Pitt. He has nomination for Moneyball, 12 Monkeys, and Benjamin Button. 3 Oscar nominations.
Should have been nominated for Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah. No, but Brad Pitt...
That might be. I'm just kidding.
Brad Pitt has very impressive range. I think Brad Pitt is a victim of his own fame. Because I have heard so many people in casual settings just, all I see when Brad Pitt's in a movie is Brad Pitt.
Did you see... Brad and Angelina Jolie, they're not getting divorced anymore. They're getting back together.
Brangelina.
It's okay.
But the thing with Brad Pitt is, I think despite him doing a great job, he's so famous that people are seeing the actor. And despite the job he does, his fame is actually becoming a burden.
He suffers from the same thing David Beckham suffered from.
Yeah.
He's too good looking that...
No, I really do think that has detracted from him, because you look at Daniel Day-Lewis, not particularly super attractive, and he doesn't really do any of this other multimedia stuff like Brad Pitt always did, and he is like the ultimate actor because nobody sees him for who he is as an actor. Brad Pitt is just so famous and so recognized for his looks that I think he's a victim of that. Oh, yeah. But his acting is up there.
He's got the bend it like Beckham problem. I mean, the man is probably one of the best soccer players to ever live, and everyone just goes, oh yeah, he was a model with that chiseled body, and now he married a Spice Girl. Who the fuck cares about that?
Number 2, Joaquin Phoenix. Nomination for Walk the Line, The Master, and Gladiator. Again, 3 nominations, no Oscar wins. What's going on? Because he certainly doesn't have the attractive problem.
He just... no, he doesn't. But he also strikes me...
He's handsome.
He's not Brad Pitt handsome.
No.
Right?
No.
No.
Brad Pitt could sway some guys who are on the cusp of being straight to the other side.
Yeah,
Joaquin Phoenix is like...
Joaquin Phoenix, just like we were just saying about Daniel Day-Lewis, I think he actually has that. I don't ever see Joaquin Phoenix. You know, Gladiator, I see a slimy little emperor. You know, you got The Master, I see this weird main character. Walk the Line, Johnny Cash.
I think right there you said it, and that's the problem is, you said you don't see Joaquin Phoenix, and I think the problem is most people don't want to see Joaquin Phoenix.
Well, I think what happens with Joaquin Phoenix is he's, especially recently, he is not into all the extra movie-related hyping. So you don't see him that much, and when it comes to the Oscars, you got to remember, the Oscars, at the end of the day, it's a popularity contest. He's not doing the contest. That's what's happening.
And honestly, some of the things that he's done, like Walk the Line, he got a lot of acclaim for that, but I really didn't think it was that.
But we've discussed that biopics are so difficult, and to even do that to an adequate level is a real accomplishment because it's so difficult.
Oh, even just his accent in that movie, it just felt like.
But just look at Gladiator. That's an Oscar right there. One of the greatest villains ever.
He was I won't say that. Yeah, that was good.
Number one, Edward Norton. Nominated for Birdman, American History X, Fight Club, and another nomination for Primal Fear. So this guy has multiple nominations, and he also has iconic cultural movies like Fight Club. American History X, a very difficult film to portray. He did an amazing job. He really sells the point. I think he really is one of the most under-recognized actors in respect to an Oscar.
He's another man who should be carrying the torch.
Absolutely. He's the next Daniel Day-Lewis. If I had to pick the next one, Edward Norton would be the guy I would pick.
I would say he's even ahead of that, because American History X, I'm going to tell you right now, that should be considered a crime that he did not win an Oscar for that film. And it's probably only because of the very dark premise that movie sits around that he didn't, because that's not something people want to talk about. But he went into the same kind of place that Jake Gyllenhaal goes with Nightcrawler, and making you hate and despise him. And then by the end of that movie, after murdering an innocent black man and going to the extreme of racism, gets butt raped and somehow turns the wheel and makes you genuinely feel for him.
That movie is one of the first times in media where you have someone who would be universally hated who ends up likable to an extent. And that's incredible.
When his brother dies, you want to give the motherfucker a hug.
The amount of nuance it takes to show a character arc like that is absolutely incredible. So Edward Norton is number one on the most deserving of an Oscar.
I mean, between American History X and Fight Club, you're looking at a man who has portrayed so many dynamics of the human psyche.
Absolutely.
All in just 2 films.
Absolutely. So that's a heavy number one. So is there anyone you think should have been on this list that wasn't? Viewers? You think of anyone?
Well, I mean, Michael Myers.
Subscribe
But what are you gonna
and
do
let
without
us know
Shrek?
what you think.
Ogres are like onions.